Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I trust that you are enjoying a very fine meal provided by Persimmon this morning. Thank you for coming to our Government Affairs Forum. My name is Bob McDonald. I currently serve as the Executive Director for the Gresham Area Chamber of Commerce. And I want to introduce you to someone here. In fact, I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Thank you, Bob. I'm Claude Cruz. I'm the Executive Director for the West Columbia Gorge Chamber, and we're very, very pleased to be able to be co-sponsoring this event. I think it's a great sign that our little river cities are coming together to look with common vision at what our potential is, and to also share with our big neighbor Gresham, find out what we can do in common, because that'll be a lot better than what individuals can do. So again, without further ado, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for all our members who came out today, and on with it.
I don't know if this is a historic occasion or not, but I think it's a fine opportunity for two chambers of commerce in a common geographical area to be able to come together and share common interests. Thank you, Claude, and thank you, West Columbia Gorge Chamber, for joining us, and I hope we may have some other opportunities to share likewise in the future. I want to thank those companies that sponsor this and provide the financial assistance to make our Government Affairs Forum happen. I want to thank in particular Portland General Electric and Riverview Community Bank. They are our presenting sponsors. I want to thank the Gresham Barlow School District as an education sponsor for these events month by month. I'd like to recognize board members from the Gresham Area Chamber of Commerce, and then I will ask Claude to recognize members from his chamber. From our Chamber of Commerce, we have our current president, Lynn Snodgrass. Wave your hand, Lynn, wherever you, oh, she's over there at the coffee.
I'm drinking my lunch.
She's drinking her lunch. Warner Allen, who is our president-elect and also the chair of our Government Affairs. Matt Miller, back there, is our past president. Andrea Pickett, there's Andrea over there, board member. Julie Reed, Julie over there, and Athena Vadnais. Athena there. So thank you, Gresham Area Chamber of Commerce board members, for your contribution to making Chamber World a successful world for all of us. Claude?
Great. And I would like to welcome and thank several people from our board for coming out. Chris Holden, our president, having lunch there, and Karen Schaff, sitting in the back there. She's our tourism lead. And Bill Peterson, the city administrator for Wood Village, is also a very high contribution board member. So thank you all for coming out.
Okay. Now I'd like to call Warner Allen to the front. He is, as I said, the chair of our Government Affairs. I'm going to allow Warner. No, I shouldn't allow him. I will ask him. How's that? I will ask Warner to introduce our guest speakers today and to carry on with the program. Warner?
Thanks, Bob. Is this thing working?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. We'll use this one for passing around a little later. So, it is my pleasure to introduce our speakers and to welcome them to the podium. Our speakers, as you probably have already figured out, are the mayors for Wood Village, Troutdale, and Fairview. And it's our opportunity today to hear what they have to say about the opportunities and challenges that they see they're facing in the next year or so. It'll also be our opportunity to ask them questions and get their take on what's going on in their communities and in our region. So, on my far left, I have Mr. Doug Daoust, who is the mayor of Troutdale and has been mayor since January 2013. Prior to assuming his role as mayor, he served for 16 years on the Troutdale City Council and was council president for 8 of those years. He has served for 22 years total in various public service positions in Troutdale and in Gresham, being Planning Commission, Parks Advisory Commission, Gresham Tree Preservation Commission, etc. Mayor Daoust is a graduate of Oregon State University. Any more kudos there? And Served for 42 years with the U.S. Forest Service before retiring in January, as he said, so that now he can just focus on being mayor. On my immediate left is Mayor Patricia Smith, who's the mayor of Wood Village. Born and raised in Philadelphia, or in Pennsylvania, I should say, I'm sorry. She attended Edinburgh State College, then moved to Oregon in 1986, lived in Gresham for 15 years before moving to Wood Village in 2001. She's currently employed at Lovett, Inc., and has a certificate from Portland Community College in emergency dispatch. Mayor Smith was elected to the Wood Village City Council in 2005, elected mayor in January of 2011, and then re-elected again this year and assumed her second term in January of this year. Actively participates in mayor forums and a number of other activities. Very active member of Wood Village, active hiker, enjoys running. Can you imagine enjoying running? I guess all the years that I spent in the Marine Corps, I couldn't really enjoy running. And gardening, as well as cooking and taking care of her basset hound, Otis. So please welcome her. And then on my immediate right, Mayor Ted Tosterud, who is new to the job of mayor. So first sworn in as mayor of Fairview in January of this year. Prior to that, he was served as an appointed city councilor in Fairview from January 2014 to December of 2014, so a rapid rising star in the political spectrum. And of course, I've got these all mixed up, don't I? So, Mayor Tosterud is actually on my far left. See, I should have looked closer, I'm sorry. So, Mayor Tosterud moved to Fairview 12 years ago after living in Park Rose for 33 years. Retired from Quest Diagnostics in December of 2012 after 46 years there. Served in the United States Air Force. Was stationed at Portland Air Base as a medical technologist. Graduated from Portland State University with a bachelor's degree in chemistry. And prior to working for Quest Diagnostics, was the owner and president of Northwest Medical Laboratories and had the 25th and Lovejoy Pharmacy. Serves on the Mount Hood Community College Foundation, Park Rose Citizens Advisory Committee prior to his move, and has coached Little League and soccer. So, would you please welcome our three mayors? And thank you very much. So, we're going to lead off with having each of the mayors give us a 3 to 5 minute discussion of the opportunities and challenges that they see in the coming year of their candidacy. And we'll start with Mayor Ted Tosterud.
I thought we were going to let the old guy go.
That's you. And you do have more than 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh, I better have. I got 6 sheets. Well, thank you very much for the invitation. I have a personal announcement to make, which is really important. My son and his wife had a baby yesterday, our first grandchild. My son is 39 years old. He lives in Vashon, Washington, and he travels to Indianapolis, Indiana every other week. He flies. Terrible schedule, but we never thought we were going to see a grandchild. But we now have a little boy, Thomas Stephen Tosterud, and I will be up there on Thursday through the weekend, and probably part of Monday. So, a little excitement in the Tosterud family. Okay, newbie to mayor. I joined City Council a ways back because once I retired, I had a lot of business responsibility, and I really didn't have a lot to do. I was involved in my church, but it just wasn't enough. So I volunteered to be on City Council, got appointed, and I really liked it. I got to know Mike Weatherby very, very well, and Mike convinced me that I should run for mayor for his seat. So I did, and I was kind of an unknown, I had to do a lot of publicity to get my name out there, but I was successful and I did get elected mayor. So then I got into the muck. City Council. We have a new council. It's a very good council, but it is a little bit polarized. They tend to think a little bit differently on this side of the table than they do on this side of the table. So the mayor somehow has to bring those two sides together. But they want us to talk about shared services between the three cities. And one of the things that I learned in business is collaboration. If you don't have collaboration, you don't have a successful team. So you have to work together. So the things that we do with the three cities, we have public works directors that meet and talk on a regular basis. City administrators meet and talk on a regular basis. We work together jointly, and still are, on the Gresham fire contract. We participated in the study. We each shared money with Portland State to do the fire study that led up to that contract. We all three belong to the West Columbia Gorge Chamber. And the newly thing, the three mayors are now meeting monthly. Haven't done that in a while, and it's working out very well. We have another meeting in March, and I think that's going to, again, bring the collaboration between the three cities. My next task in this is to initiate, again, the three cities intercouncil meetings, if I can do that. If I can get the three city councilors to meet together once or twice every quarter, I think that's going to help, again, bring the three cities together. Plans for the next 5 years. I need to go fast now. My 3 minutes are up. VA Medical Center, biggest thing that happened to Fairview so far. The ground is broke. The building's going to be up. We're hoping by September it will be open. I think there's something like 54 exam rooms I counted on the thing. There's going to be a lot of new jobs there, but they're also closing the one in I believe, is it Park Rose? No. Gateway, okay. They're closing the one in Gateway, so there will be some transition of employees out there, so they won't be all new jobs. Work with Providence, try to get Providence Health Services to come and break ground on their side of the street so we can have the two clinics up. That will be another positive thing for us. Halsey Corridor Development Plan. I'm interested in tourism. I'm trying to get the EDAC group, our Economic Development Group, to also support that. Fairview was just now brought into the regional, let's see, where's my notes? The regional Columbia Gorge tourism region. We were in Portland and we weren't getting any publicity. Now at least Fairview will have their name in the magazines. Was that a ding for me? Okay. Update transportation plan. Parks. We need to continue to make improvements to our parks. Fairview has like 27 parks. We have a great community park. We have Park Leon, we have Lakeshore, but we have these little pocket parks, and they become very much of a maintenance hassle. We've tried to give them away at auctions, and nobody wants these little parks, so we still have to take care of those. Events, the big thing for us is going to be the Multnomah County Sheriff contract. Mayor Dallas will probably talk a little bit about his because they're making this decision before we are. The next biggest thing is the emergency preparedness plan for Fairview for national disasters. I was privileged enough to sit through a Multnomah County presentation on disaster, and I was very taken with the fact that they're not really ready either. They have 24 stations throughout the city of Portland. At each of those stations, they have 3 days worth of supplies, and they have one UHF radio on batteries, and that's it. If an earthquake hits, and it is the size, they're telling us that the bridges are all going to go down except for one or two. You will not be able to travel from west to east for probably 6 months. There is one emergency vehicle for every 24,000 people. Somehow we have to get this word out to our citizens that they're going to have to prepare themselves for a little bit of discomfort. They're maybe going to have some water at home. They're going to have some supplies. It may not happen for a couple hundred years, but if it does happen, we at least have to let them know and alert them. That is a big one on mine. I've asked Councilor Cooper, who is here to head this for me, to let our citizens know. But I think it needs to be a three-city collaborative type thing. Let's see, visions. One of my things that I really pushed pre-election was to make the government, local government transparent again. Try to get more citizens' input. I went down to Salem recently and sat through a presentation where they're asking for input from us, the elected officials, because they need help down there. They need help making the decisions. There's 10 marijuana bills down there. They want to know from us, what do we think? They want that input. Well, we as a local government want input from our citizens. And so that's difficult to do because there's a lot of apathy. They really don't want to come out and listen. They just want to read it in the newspaper and you're going to take care of it for me. And then I'm going to skip down on some of these. And then to partner with the two mayors that are on my left and right here on economic development. I think that's one of the most important visions that I have, is to try to create something that benefits all three cities. So I'm going to quit there. My 5 minutes are up.
And if we'll work our way down the table, Mayor Smith, if you would go ahead and give us your 3 to 5 minutes.
I got more than that.
You'll have an opportunity.
I'm kidding. I don't drag things out. It's short and sweet for me. First of all, thank you for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about our little city. It's like a little jewel nestled on the bracelet of Fairview and Troutdale. And I feel really privileged to work with these two guys. They're good men, and they want the best for their city like I want for mine, and I'm really happy that we're working together. I think we can be a formidable force in East County working together. So, okay, first of all, I'm going to talk our economic points of the city. We've had some good growth. Brasher's Auto Body has added 11,000 square feet, 1.4 million investment, 16 new employees. Thank you. Pressure Safe LLC, it's a subsidiary of Marash Meats. They have investments over $9 million in food processing. We've had three residential housing starts this year and last year, and we have not had them for 3 years prior to that. Small business program that we have is a meter beat. We'll meter beat anybody's offer to locate in anybody's town that we possibly can within the confines of the rules that we have for small business. Our incentive program pays the fees for new small businesses less than 6,000 square feet that move into existing buildings. We pay for the building permits costs and 1 year of business license fees. So we have had America's Best contacts and eyeglasses, got 2 pairs there, $69, including the exam. Fabulous cupcakes on Halsey, and they are good. Go get some of them, really good. And a yoga studio, insurance agency, and a placement service on Halsey. So it's looking pretty good. The town center, we got a grant from the Oregon Department of Transportation to be able to do a market analysis of our town center and see what we can do to evaluate the zone and update everything that's needed there. As far as parks go, our park is beautiful. We have one park, beautiful. We're doing a basketball court reconstruction, a trail system expansion, and a playground upgrade. It's a lovely park. Y'all should visit it. It's right on Halsey. And we have contracted with Conservation Technics to do a new park master plan so we can see how we can better utilize the park, different things that we might be able to have in it. As far as our roads go, we did a road fee a couple of years ago, I believe, right?
2011.
Yeah. We passed a road fee, the kind that Portland's trying to pass. Well, we passed it, and we had public hearings and with the businesses, and we passed a road fee for a 3-year period of time. Well, the first year we got so much money in from that, and we immediately set out to fix roads that we decided we could lower the next year's fees because we got so much the first time. Now, how many other governments are going to give you back money. Huh? Yeah. So anyways, that's how we got it. We're doing a reconstruction of Arata Road, summer to next spring, and that was a grant. We're doing an extension of we did an extension of Wood Village Boulevard, and that was thank you to Multnomah County. We completed major maintenance on city roadways with slurries, and I think, in fact, we were out there just days after we had the fee money come in, wasn't it, Bill? Just days, so people could see I paid this money, and there they are out there working on the roads. It's a good thing. Okay, accomplishments. Let's see. We're in a very solid financial position. We have money in the bank. We haven't had to lay anybody off or cut any wages or anything. We have great city events. We have an Easter egg hunt that's coming up. We do it in cooperation with the Sheriff's Department and Walmart. We get between 2,000 and 3,000 people. It's one of the biggest ones in East County. And you don't see it in the newspaper, do you? I don't either. I'm wondering why. We have a night out that is in cooperation with our Wood Village Baptist Church and the Sheriff's Department. We have almost 3,000 people at that one. Everything is free, food and everything. Don't see it in the newspaper. I'm kind of sad about that, but if I keep making enough noise, maybe they'll put it in there. We have, we're trying to enhance the streetscape on Arata Road. We're working with Fairview and Troutdale to try and get the, not Arata Road, Halsey Street, to try and get the continuity between the three cities when you move down Halsey Street, so it doesn't all look broken up and choppy. So that's one of the ways we're working together. We are having regular monthly meetings, like Ted said, and relationships with each other are going to only get better. We look to collaborate things like the fire department. We'd love to have our own fire department. And I don't know how we can accomplish that. We've had a study going on with the college, and there are ways it can be done. We just have to work at it. Right now we're in negotiations with Gresham for another contract, so that may have to wait a bit. My vision for the town, I have lots of things on my wish list. The fire department's one of them. I'd like to see a stronger neighborhood watch, and that's what Ted said about the emergency preparedness. We need to work together. I'd like to see no child in Wood Village go hungry, and I know there are some now. Affordable housing, not affordable boxes. That's what I would like to see. And I would also like to see a family entertainment center go in where the dog track is. I know they're seriously trying to market it now, and that's what I would like to see. And that's my visions for the town. Thank you.
Mayor Dowse, if we can have your take on what's going on in Troutdale.
All right, well, I'm very glad to be here. Larry said I had 10 to 15 minutes, so I planned accordingly. I want to cover some major economic developments, significant issues for Troutdale and the rest of us, and then go on to maybe some fire service discussion, police service discussion, other social issues that we have to deal with, and then wrap it up with other issues we all have in common. As far as economic development in Troutdale, the significant moves are FedEx is completing a 156,000 square foot expansion in our Troutdale Reynolds Industrial Park. So soon after they went in, they're expanding already. The Troutdale Energy Center that some of you may have heard about is a gas-powered electrical generating plant. It's still alive. This is a $680 million, what Troutdale Energy Center is called. It'll consist of two separate generating plants. in combination that can produce 680 million megawatts of electricity. It'll be located just east of where FedEx is on our TRIP property. Our staff continues to support the applicant's plan to design a system so that they could use our effluent, recycled water from our treatment plant that's nearby, and we're working on how much we're going to charge them for that, if it comes to be. State permits for that energy center are still pending, though a customer for the power is yet to be determined. So that's where that's at. So the TRIP property, we call it, it is the largest brownfield restoration in the state of Oregon. It gets a lot of attention from the state and the Port of Portland, obviously. The only complications we have there are wetlands mitigation on that site and the levee system, which it bounces up against. But TRIP has the ability to move products quickly because of its location, and the TRIP lots should be available in early 2017. That's that. Our urban renewal area. We're progressing. That's the area behind the Troutdale outlet stores, between that and the Sandy River. We're actively negotiating the sale of the city's former wastewater treatment plant to East Winds, LLC. The Yoshida Group owns part of the property back there, and we're negotiating the sale of the city property to East Winds. We've cleaned up contamination, continuing to clean up contamination, what little bit there is on the site. We've had funding from both EPA and Business Oregon and East Winds to do that. We have a shoreline development plan for the Sandy River. Once it's developed, we will have a very nice developed section along the Sandy River there that combines public access along with protecting wildlife habitat and the river itself. This affects all of East County once we get this thing developed, because it'll have a mid to small size conference center, a hotel, spa, restaurants along the river, and shops. It should be real nice once we get that going and done, benefiting all of East County. Some economic development issues that are also going on that benefit Wood Village, Fairview, and Gresham. We recently pushed for and received an RTO grant for the bicycle tourism between the Gresham Chamber and the West Columbia Gorge Chamber. So this year, each chamber will get $50,000 towards the bicycle tourism efforts that each chamber is working on. So that was a good thing. The bicyclists keep coming. We have bike hubs that are planned in each of the cities. I know Wood Village has a concept plan. We have a concept plan in our Depot Park to provide hubs, concentrated facilities for bicyclists where they know where they can fix a spare tire, get water, charge their phones, do whatever they need to do. That's what a hub is. We're trying to enhance Troutdale's reputation as an art-oriented city. We have a lot of artists in Troutdale, as we do in the rest of East Multnomah County. We see that as an important element in the growth of our city. We just recently had a ribbon cutting for a Troutdale Arts Center down closer to the river. Rip Caswell, our renowned bronze sculpturist, has opened up artists live work apartments where artists can live and work in our city, and there's some additional buildings that are planned for that also. So this is the kind of movement we're trying to make Troutdale and East County more of an artist destination to bring in more artists and show their wares. We're doing our part in reviewing our development code. For a while, Troutdale had maybe a tough reputation with developers. We're really trying to make that better. We're looking through our entire development code. 30 seconds. That can't be. I'm not even halfway through. He said 10 to 15 minutes. As far as emergency services, fire, we're negotiating, of course, like has been mentioned, with Gresham currently. Our contract has been in place for 10 years and expires in July. So we need to deal with that. The cost to the city of Troutdale is estimated at about $160,000 more than it is now. So obviously, this will be a challenge, which affects our budget without additional revenue coming in. Police services. Well, we continue to have the school resource officers in Reynolds High School, and you all know how important that was last June when we had the school shooting. You know how important it is for those SROs to be right there in the high school. We're actively finalizing an agreement with Multnomah County Sheriff. Tonight we have a work session, if any of you are interested. We'll vote on the IGA for contract law enforcement services on March 24th. City Council vote. The goal is implementation by July 1st, 2015, if we can agree. If you exclude the first-year implementation transition costs with the Sheriff's Office, the city's annual ongoing police operations would be approximately $1.1 million less under the Multnomah County contract as compared to running our own department. So obviously, that's a big benefit to look at. The difficulty we're having right now is we're having ongoing TPOA labor negotiations at the same time with our police officers. Makes it a little tricky when you're talking about a contract negotiation on one hand and labor negotiations on the other hand. It complicates the issue. Well, I was going to talk about some social issues. I still will. Heroin use. This is a personal subject of mine, which I will bring up every time I have a chance. It's on the rise. It's more prevalent than probably most of us in this room know it is. We're finding more hypodermic needles in our catch basins when we clean out the catch basins in the roads. Our staff has to carefully address that. Heroin and trafficking has increased in Oregon. It's probably the greatest drug threat, followed by methamphetamines, marijuana, controlled prescription drugs, and cocaine. Because production in Mexico has increased, it's expanded in recent years. It's really available in our area. I'm not talking Troutdale, I'm talking the Portland metro area. It is extremely available. Most law enforcement officers that were surveyed last year, they see it as our principal threat to our livability. They seized more heroin. They had larger number of new users and associated overdoses, and rising incidents of heroin-related violent crime and property offenses. You know, all those thefts that occur and the cars that get broken into and people's property that get broken into and things stolen, you wonder why. Well, I would predict and say that heroin is a big cause for a lot of that. So there's my 2-minute speech, which could be a 2-hour talk if you let me. Marijuana, I'm not going to talk about that because you may have some questions about that, about what we're doing about marijuana. Just a few other things. Reynolds School District has this big bond coming out in the the May 19th election. They're proposing a $125 million bond for the Reynolds School District, which affects all 4 cities. So they plan to replace 3 grade schools, replace them, tear them down and build brand new ones, and do some repairs and renovations at Reynolds High School, 18 new classrooms, and safety and security upgrades to a lot of the schools. So that's what's going on in May election, so keep aware of that. And I do have some information on the Troutdale Airport. That's my last subject, I promise. The Port of Portland's redoing the Troutdale Airport master plan for the next 20 years. We have the 4th busiest airport in Oregon. It's about 110,000 operations per year, planes flying in and out of the airport. There is some concern about the airport because it's not supporting itself financially. Has significant challenges with older facilities and little interest in new development from third parties. But all that being said, it's an important asset to our community. And it's a good thing to have in our backyard. The flight training facility is the most utilized part of the airport. You can see Southeast Asian students walking down 257th every single morning at 7 a.m. There's a whole slug of them taking training at the airport to learn how to fly helicopters. Southeast Asian countries are sending them over to Troutdale to get trained. With Gresham Vista property and the Tripp property, once those get going, I can only see an increased use of the airport. So, those are the things we need to keep in mind. And we're also looking at a local gas tax also in Troutdale. And I think I'll end it up there, and I'm right on time.
So thank you all. Since marijuana was brought up, I'd like each of the mayors to respond to the question about what plans your cities are engaged in or have developed for the coming marijuana issues.
Me to go?
Yeah.
You want me to go so you can eat?
No, go ahead.
Well, back when Mike Weatherby was our mayor last year, Fairview passed a tax on marijuana at the advice of our attorney at that particular time, and we happened to have passed the highest tax in the state at 40% for recreational and 15% for medicinal. This year, the Planning Commission has met and has found a small parcel of land that's owned, that is zoned light industrial down on Sandy Boulevard that would be a possibility for us to have a dispensary down there. But our attorney was at our work session, and he advised us to really not make any decisions right now because there are 10 bills, as I mentioned earlier, in the state legislature. We don't know what they're going to do. We do know, and we did tell them when we were down there, that we would like to see a little bit of local control. And instead of the state telling us everything to do, we would like to have the cities be able to have some kind of control over maybe the hours, the location. You know, they've set some parameters of 1,000 feet from a school. But I think that from the citizens' point of view, there's many of them that come up and tell me that they don't want the dispensary in Fairview. I may not be able to stop that. Depends on what the state legislature does. So for us, it is kind of a wait and see right now. We can't do any more than what the attorneys are advising us to do. So that's what Fairview's doing.
In Wood Village?
I think that this marijuana thing that was passed is going to be really hurtful to all of East County. It blows my mind how people voted down a casino that would have brought 3,000 jobs, and they voted for marijuana. I don't understand that. We are going to put into place, hopefully, some things that will restrict dispensaries. The moratorium's over with April the 30th of this year on marijuana dispensaries. We are going to put into place some zoning, possibly changes that would limit the number that can exist in our town. There's just going to be no way you can keep them out. Just say no. You can't just say no. And that's a sad thing, where the cities can't just say no to something. There is a sign up now at the corner of 238th and Halsey with one of the famous green crosses on it. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but these people are planning to open when they can and if and when they get a license, and I'm told they may already have a license. That makes me sad. In talks with Sheriff Staten, he said that it's probably one of the worst things that can happen is pass the marijuana law, and it was passed. So we're just gonna try and deal with things as they happen, because there are gonna be things wrong. I see bad things happening with the candy, with the cookies, with the products that are packaged to sell to children. And that's my biggest concern. Marijuana's been around for a long time. It's going to continue, but it's going to be worse. And I don't know what we can do about it, in all honesty, in this right now. So.
Well, I'm a bit conflicted because when you look at the voter turnout and results from Troutdale, most of our citizens voted for legalizing recreational marijuana. Now, I have my own opinions, and you may be able to guess what they are after my talk on heroin. But we have a moratorium in place like the other two cities. We're dealing right now with the development code issues that will determine where the facilities for medical marijuana can be located. And we threw in 1,000 feet from parks and public spaces, in addition to 1,000 feet from schools. So if you round that all up, the only place a medical marijuana place could be located in Troutdale is north of the railroad tracks in our industrial zone. So Port of Portland could put them on the Tripp property if they so wish. So that's where we're at. Recreational marijuana, we're in the same boat as the rest of the cities in Oregon are, waiting to see what comes out of the Oregon legislature and dealing with recreational marijuana, which will be legal July 1st. So I get a lot of phone calls from citizens that are concerned, but we'll just have to wait and see what more we can do, if anything.
Thank you. I'd like your thoughts, if you would, on efforts to form a parks district on a regional basis to deal with parks, perhaps across all three cities, rather than just on an individual basis.
Okay. Well, I'm very aware of that discussion. I'm a bit conflicted about that. In Troutdale, as I'm sure the other two cities, we consider our parks to be fairly good. There's a lot of local pride in Troutdale about our park system, that we are doing just fine. Thank you. I myself am more of a regional player. I tend to look forward in city budgets 2-3 years from now to see if those same people will be saying the same thing 3 years from now when our general fund budget is half what it is now. So that, I think tight budgets tend to open people's eyes to more regional efforts, to parks districts, if that be the case. I think a park district would be a tough sell out here in East County. I look at Tualatin Valley Parks and Rec District as the ideal in a park and rec district. I think they have it made over there. It's a beautiful system of parks and recreation. You know, that's kind of the Cadillac version. We never can and never will get there out in East County because we started too late. If we would have started at the same time Tualatin Valley did, we might have something to work with. But to start one now, I think you'd have to bring in the benefits of maybe not funding it through a property tax, maybe funding it through a soda pop tax or something where people would buy into it a little bit better than a property tax. And if you told people that you could help fund the schools to keep their gymnasiums open so children would have more opportunities to be able to go different places. If you told people that cities' parks budgets could double if you were part of a park and rec district, that might catch some people's attention. If you could help the schools keep their fields open where they'd be more available. If you could maybe fund different civic events and parades and chili fests, and you name it, through a park district, it might catch people's attention. So I think it has merit, personally. I think it would be a hard sell if it's property tax based. If it's based with other type of funding, I think it would have a better chance.
Well, I think I can ditto almost everything with the addition that the school bond, and we do need that, the $125 million, and in 2016, Mount Hood Community College is also going to be putting a bond on the ballot. So trying to fund this with property taxes, I would agree with Mayor Doust, is going to make it a very difficult thing. I do support it. I think it has merit, but I just don't think that we're going to get citizen buy-in. There's just too many things that they're going to want to have money taken back out for property taxes.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with these two guys. Money is probably the problem. Tualatin Valley Parks and Recs, they're incredibly rich in everything that surrounds them. And I don't think we could manage that, and I don't think we can ask, especially people in Wood Village, I wouldn't ask my citizens to come up off of any more money for anything like that. We have one beautiful park, we maintain it, we own it, and I don't think we'd ever want to give that up, so I think not.
And we'll open it up for questions from the audience.
I'll run the microphone, so just raise your hand if you recognize for a question.
More of a comment for Mayor Costro and Mayor Smith. And a promotion for the Gresham Chamber of Commerce that next week, I think it's the 11th, the time we're going to have it, that PG is sponsoring an emergency preparedness event for the Chamber. I think it's something we're as acutely aware of as all the cities are, and so I encourage everybody who's interested to come and see it.
I was going to mention that in my closing.
Oh.
Next hand.
I just had a question about the Powell Division TriMet corridor that's going on, or that the planning is going in. And I wondered what you guys' take on was the fact that right now, I believe the planning for it ends out near Mount Hood Community College. And being that Reynolds High School is the third largest high school in the state, I wonder what your thoughts about trying to get that extended out to the high school. I believe Centennial, Gresham, David Douglas are all on the line right now.
Good luck.
That'd be you.
Unless you know him down there. See how much pull you have.
Yes, I've seen the transportation plans for it to extend to Mount Hood Community College, and I think that's a great idea. I know that the college, you know, I'm well aware of the bus lines that run to the college and out towards that part of town are barely keeping up with the student demand for bus service. You drive by Mount Hood Community College every day and the bus stops are busy. You know, the students, they need more options. Has anybody ever tried to park at Mount Hood Community College during the day and sometimes in the evening? The parking lots are completely full. And wouldn't it be nice if transportation options provided different options for students to travel rather than driving cars? So it fits within the vision of trying to reduce vehicular traffic, which I'm for.
Okay, next question.
I'll ask one.
Oh, very good, Sue.
Can't let the air go dead here.
Not at all. Sue would never let that happen.
Well, I did want to say, since I have the microphone, that we did a lot of the placement of the tenants in Wood Village, and we did really appreciate the amount of cooperation that we got from your planning and your city manager as well. It's much appreciated. But Halsey Corridor, we've talked some about all of you working together with Halsey Corridor, and I wonder if maybe you might want to each talk about what you see coming in the near future and whether that's really going to become some sort of a reality where we have a really nice parkway, so to speak, or at least something improved.
You want me to start?
Yeah, go.
I'm on the end. Well, we're hoping that Fairview will be the beginning of the Halsey Corridor. Our EDAC group, Economic Development Group, had made a request to me to ask Mayor Doust if we could please close the exit out there in Troutdale so that everyone coming to the Halsey Corridor would have to get off exit 14. That way we would get them down through Fairview and through Wood Village and then all the way through Troutdale. Yeah, well, that was our economic development guy's suggestion. And I actually thought it was pretty good, but I don't know if the good mayor will close his exit for us. Our economic development team is working on trying to come up with a branding for Fairview. We're a little late. Troutdale and Wood Village are a little farther along than what we are. And we want to look at tourism. We are going to have some bike hubs. We will have, as I said earlier, as you come in down Halsey, you're going to see the VA Medical Clinic. You may see Providence there. Jeff Parker has just purchased all the land on the south side of Halsey, and he will be developing that. There will be some business along the street, and there will be housing behind it. So that is going to get filled in. I know that Dean Herford also has a block of land across from Alexander's, very, very close behind his car wash that he is going to develop. I don't know exactly what he's going to do there yet. He hasn't really let that known to me. He keeps changing his mind. He keeps teasing me that it's going to be another car wash, but I really don't believe that. But we need to have a consistent branding from here to there so that I think what Doug talked about earlier, his waterfront will be the attraction to draw people down Halsey. I think that's the important piece. I think what their plans for the riverfront, I actually got to see the plans, and if you really saw them up on a board, it's really impressive, the things that are going to be down there. And that is going to be a draw to citizens to come in there. So then we have to find a way to get business in here that will complement what we're doing down there. And I do believe tourism is the first one that really has made sense for us. It's kind of easy to do, and we do have a lot of bicycles out there. I live right next to Blue Lake, and we have 3 events that close Marine Drive a year. And it's really good for the community. I wish we had the fireworks back. That's one of the things that was a big draw out to Fairview. For about $10,000 or $12,000, they couldn't raise enough to do fireworks. We packed that park. It was really nice, and it was people behaved themselves. There was little traffic afterwards, but those are the things. But Fairview does not really have a brand yet, but that's kind of what we're working on, and that's what the collaboration with the councilors and with the 3 mayors is what I'm trying to do.
Well, we completed our Halsey Street plan years ago. We have businesses along the street. We could have more businesses along the street. We have parking. We have our park. We've been considering possibility of not having our city hall where the city hall is. Maybe something else right there. It's prime commercial property, so to sell that and to build further back or somewhere else. So we've been considering that. But yeah, I'd like to see a continuity, like Ted said, of moving along Halsey into the various towns and headed toward his water park there. That'd be just wonderful. So we are working toward that, all 3 of us.
Well, we all 3 support that plan. Troutdale had a little different vision about freeway exits. We have the idea that exit 14, 16, and 17 would all say Troutdale this exit. But with the genuine interest of funneling people onto Halsey Street. Just turn right once you get onto Halsey. So that fits the plan and the vision more so than Ted's plan. And it is a branding thing, right? It's a plan that can be written and developed to coalesce the 3 cities as far as street lamps go, as far as pedestrian connections go, as far as bike lanes go. You can connect 3 cities better than they're connected right now, and that's the plan. Obviously, there's some gaps. McMenamins Edgefield is planning on expanding across Halsey, which will finalize and finish that gap that now exists on Halsey and make it much better. So, there's pieces that are coming together right now that make a lot of sense to talk about a Halsey corridor in all 3 cities. So the plan is at a good time. We all support it. We'll have to see how it turns out over time. It's a long-term plan, of course, but it seems to make a lot of sense.
So could I, while you're there, just to elaborate on it. So part of the corridor is that consistent, part of the corridor is a consistent look all the way through. And since right now we are on the cusp of a number of different developments, Edgefield being one of the key ones, have the cities really talked about how the lighting or the streetscape, because those are more immediate things, have you 3 had conversations how it might have that kind of a corridor look just simply by some of those street improvements?
The plan. The key is to have a plan.
Yeah.
Which, what's the status of the plan, guys?
The last time we talked, that was the status.
All right, so we plan on hosting and funding a plan, right? Well, that's the obvious answer, is to have a plan. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be flippant, but that is the answer. We're planning on funding a plan for the Halsey corridor, which will address those issues to make it look more consistent.
Thank you, Mayor. Always good to have a plan.
Yes.
Yes, over here, Kevin.
Hi, I'll make this quick. I travel through all three cities and communities and drive down through that beautiful little intersection at 207th and Halsey. So this is probably the question for that mayor. I was driving through Sherwood. You guys are all trying to raise money for the communities, parks, and recreation. I was driving through Sherwood a couple of weeks ago. They took my picture out there. Then they sent the picture of me in the mail with a bill.
How many times?
For visiting there, it was $260.
How many times you get
But I sent them.
You get your picture taken once, twice, or 3 times?
There was 3 shots.
That's right.
Front, back, and center.
I know about Sherwood.
Any plans on activating the photo radar down there?
That one's mine. I can't hide it. I have driven through Sherwood, and it's very telling, you know. The first time I drove through it in a long time, I didn't realize there was one at every corner. Troutdale City Council is having a work session this Wednesday to talk about whether we're going to renew the contract on Fairview. Yeah, there we go. They would love to. Okay, so we're gonna have a work session this Wednesday night to talk about renewing the contract. We have to make a decision by April 1st. So it will be coming, I think, right now. I would say it's 3-3, just a split right now, probably. And I would be the tiebreaker. And I don't really know until I talk to the folks at the work session and we look at the pros and cons of it. I think the city can afford to take them out. It's, from what the police chief has told me, is that you put them in there to reduce accidents. And accidents have certainly gone down, and the number of citations has actually gone down. And the Fairview residents are a little smarter than the other residents because the number of citations for Fairview residents is way down. But most folks don't get a ticket for running the red lights. They get a ticket for turning right without stopping. There's a sensor. I was taught this by the chief right away, so I don't get a ticket. There's a sensor there, and if you drive up and stop completely, the sensor recognizes that, then you can turn right on red. But if you do a California and just turn it, then you're going to get flashed and you're going to get your picture taken. So even at our community events, the chief has come out and explained this to folks. We have a little booth, and we can explain to them how the red light cameras work. So I can't tell you for sure if it's going to get voted out or not. Again, it's up to the council, but you're very timely because we are doing it. And we also have, we did just vote in flashing lights for all of our school zones on a state contract. And that would lead up to putting photo radar on Halsey between 201st and 207th. In that long stretch in there by the schools, there are 3 schools there. And, yeah, I'm sorry, it's on Gleason, yes. No, it's on Halsey. It's on Halsey, I'm sorry. It is on Halsey. From 201st to 207th on Halsey. Right now, there's a flashing crosser. But if you drive down there anytime during a school zone, you're going to be hard-pressed to see them driving 20 miles an hour. It is a long stretch, and there are 3 schools, and kids are walking on both sides of the sidewalk. So it is our plan to put flashing lights up, and then if the council votes again, to put in the photo radar, depending upon if the flashing lights help the situation. But we do know there's a problem there. About 67% of the cars going through there during school zone time are speeding over 25 miles an hour. So we did recognize that, but it was a good question.
Does that include Gleason? Does it include the school over on Gleason?
Pardon?
Does that include the school on Gleason?
Did we? We're not. Oh, yeah. No flashing lights though. Okay, flashing lights, but no radar. What we passed was $28,000 to put flashing lights in all of our school zones. We felt they were all as important as the one on Halsey, so we did all the school zones. We just took some money out of the general fund to pay for that. Okay.
Thank you. Next question, over here.
Mayor Daus, I have a question. Is there an estimated start date for the development of the urban renewal project?
We did have a more aggressive timeline before we started getting a little catches with the appraisals on the city properties, so the timeline has been pushed back a little bit. I'm sure that if things go smoothly with the purchase of the city property, we're expecting that development occur. Once we have a purchase and sale agreement with Yoshida's East Winds LLC, once we have that in place, and I'm not sure how long that will take to get in place, we have requirements within the purchase and sale agreement that it'll start within, I think, a couple years, is it? And I think Yoshida, once things get put in place, I think East Winds wants to move on it as quickly as possible. So I don't see a really long delay unless things really get hung up for some reason. And that can happen sometimes with property development, but we're all hoping that it moves rather quickly.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you, Mayor. We have time for one more question, maybe two, depending on how long-winded our mayors are on the next question. Raise your hand if you have a question. Over there to Jeff.
Well, first I want to say I'm pleased that there's so many opportunities in Troutdale. The thing that I keep seeing is, number one, downtown seems to be just sitting there. And what is Troutdale doing to speed up the process of getting some building going down there and the new projects? What was you doing to incentivize that to get going?
Yeah, good question. As far as the existing businesses, I think we only have one storefront that's now vacant. And by the way, that was the storefront that the medical marijuana guys wanted to go into. But so that needs to be filled. I think what you're talking about is the entire city block that was demolished more than a year ago to make room for a brand new development on the other side of the main street. That's Bremick Construction. What they want to do is they want to start with the row homes on the 2nd Avenue side, the uphill side, and do those first. And I think it's not a matter of the city incentivizing them. It's a matter of Bremick getting core tenants to come in to their development on each of the major corners in downtown. At one time, they were proposing and soliciting that we put a city hall in one of those corners, which would have been a major tenant, but we decided not to do that. So Bremick is looking for a pub, a restaurant, some kind of a major tenant to come in and anchor that development. And I think once that occurs, the whole thing will steamroll and get done. I wish we could do more, but I think it's just a matter of Bremick finding tenants to fill space more than anything. But the row houses will go in first, from my understanding. And they said they were going to start those last year. So, much to my surprise, it hasn't happened yet.
Thank you, Mayor. We have time for one more question. This would be the last. Claude. Fitting that the CEO for the West Columbia Gorge Chamber of Commerce will close the last question.
Well, thank you. First, just a point on the Halsey corridor. Our chamber is trying to bring in the person who was responsible for the redo of downtown Redmond. I don't know how many people have been there recently. Beautiful new look and feel, uniform throughout. So we need a clear vision, I think, before we can pull a plan together, and that's underway. My question is a bit of a toughie, and I hope the mayors will forgive me here. What I see, and personally have been involved in, is the three little cities seem to be coming together, coalescing in a very nice way. We're working out common ground. And the two chambers are starting to collaborate in a very good way as well. But my question is, what's your vision for how our three cities, Little River cities, are going to collaborate with or steer our own course with respect to Gresham? What commonality there can we leverage, and where do we need to go in a different direction?
Yeah, thank you. You're the senior.
Who wants to tackle that one first?
You live the closest.
You talk.
Shane Bemis and I have a good working relationship. We trust each other. We meet with each other. It's a challenge sometime to get Shane to come to a Four Cities meeting, which we wish we could continue, because those are the discussions where you get all four cities in the room and you discuss issues that we have in common. And quite frankly, that is a challenge with Gresham. The three of us are more than willing to meet monthly and discuss issues we have with each other. I personally see East County as one big area. I don't get hung up on just representing Troutdale. And so Shane and I have talked about that. You know, we've sat for lunch a couple weeks ago and talked for an hour and a half on stuff that we should be working together on. So it's just one of those things where we'd like all four cities to be in the room together. You know, I mean, what else can you say? Gresham has their economic development department, you know, and they're working on their things. We do not have an economic development department. You know, we're trying to think about hiring an economic development director between the three cities. You know, Gresham does very, very well by itself, thank you. And, but I don't mean to sound negative, I really don't. We have good working relationships with Gresham, don't get me wrong. We just wish that the four cities could meet more often and talk about things more often and coalesce better, because we see how that works better in other parts of the metro region on the west side. We see how that works, and we all want that. You know, we all want to work towards that. And I'll leave it at that. Any other?
I agree with Mayor Doust on that. The fact that we don't meet together is kind of sad, because all together we could do great things. Gresham has everything they need right now to be able to function and do what they need to do, and they're pretty independent. And I think the three small cities need to be together to get things pushed through that we want to get pushed through, as far as grants and things like that go. We need to be together on it, because one small little voice doesn't get anything. So I would love to work with Gresham, and I'll just continue to work with these two guys here, and maybe we can talk Gresham into it one of these days. But I'm very open to it, but I see the real need to work together. You good?
I can't add anything.
I think I saw Mayor Tidd take a pass on that one.
Yeah, I can't add anything.
Mayor Doust?
Well, yeah, he'll pass, but his idea from the very beginning was for the three small cities to form one bigger city.
I will.
So we'd have 28,000 population between the three cities and all be one city.
All right, I'll bring that up.
What would the name be?
And I'll tell you how I did it. All right.
You got to come up with a name.
Well, I'll worry about the name afterwards, but yeah, okay. If you were to take the three cities and elect two councilors from each city, you would have on your city council two councilors from each city, and then you would elect the mayor from the overall in there. So that part's pretty simple. We're already, as far as regionalization goes, we're doing fire contracts, we're doing sheriff's contracts, we're getting closer and closer. It probably won't be in my lifetime, but I come from a business environment where consolidation is like getting up in the morning and having breakfast with large businesses. You're looking at acquiring other businesses to bring into yours, the synergies that you get, the savings that you get, and the better services you get to give to your customers. I'll talk about the medical side of it for just a moment, because we would take large laboratories and mold them in, but we could not drop the quality. We actually had to improve the quality in order to get the deal done. So we were able to do it with less people, but do the testing faster and quicker and get the results back to the doctors. When you study integrations and you study the synergies that arrive from it, the benefits are unbelievable. But we have 3 strong cities with strong city councils right now that would make this a little more difficult. But I think if we planted the seed now for down the road, and especially with what's going to happen on the waterfront down there, I think that is going to be the most positive thing to happen to East County, is if East Wind pulls this off and gets this built down there and attracts people out here. We're going to see some dollars in East County we don't see now. So I believe in regionalization on all of our services. I support it, but I just know the citizens, they have their identity for their cities, and they're not going to want to give that up. But eventually, the savings will drive that forward.
No. Thank you, Ted. I certainly can echo a lot of your sentiments, philosophically speaking, working together, collaborating. And I'm very happy that Claude and I, through our 2 chambers of commerce, are setting an example for other cities to follow. And maybe they will do that one day. On behalf of the Gresham Area Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank you all for attending. And I want to thank our sponsors, Portland General Electric and Riverview Community Bank, our presenting sponsors, and the Gresham Barlow School District as our education sponsor. And Claude, I want to thank you and the West Columbia Gorge Chamber for joining us in sponsoring this event, and I'm happy to see a number of West Columbia Gorge Chamber members here today, and so thank you all for coming. We appreciate that and look forward to maybe some future opportunities to collaborate. And I see my chairman there raising a finger at me.
So, remind everybody about the business forum.
Yeah, I'm going to in a minute.
And I'd like to just quickly thank everybody from the West Columbia Gorge Chamber who's come out, and our kind co-presenters here from the Gresham Chamber. I hope we do more of this sort of thing. I think it's healthy. I think it's mutually beneficial. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Claude. One last announcement. Our business forum, which Warner mentioned, is on next Wednesday, March 11, and this is going to address a whole issue of preparedness for natural disasters. And we're just fortunate that we have strong sponsorship for that, PGE, and look forward to helping our community to better understand the essentials of preparing for a disaster. You know, it's like the little boy who cried wolf all the time. Finally, everybody just ignored the little boy until the wolf came along. I think we do that in our society. We keep hearing these warnings year after year after year, and we fall into a certain state of lethargy. But, you know, I come out of the school system. I think our schools, even my own school, is inadequately prepared. And I suspect many in our community. I mean, I've been told as many as 60% of small businesses will not recover from a natural earthquake disaster. So I think all of our business community need to come and listen to the presenters at the forum on March 11. If you've not signed up for that yet, you can do so on the Gresham Area Chamber of Commerce website. And next month for the Government Affairs, Mayor Shane Bemis will be here. So thank you all for coming. Appreciate it, and have a great day in your local business. And hopefully no disasters this afternoon.